Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, David Meow. Today I'm joined by Connor.
Hey, guys.
And Mike.
Hello.
And today's our part 3 of going over Circana's list of top 20 best-selling games from the year 2000 all the way up to 2023. One way or another, this will be the last part in this series because this has gone way over what we thought, time-wise, it would take.
3x. Yeah.
3 times. We thought this would be an episode.
So, yeah, exactly, yeah. So, without further ado, let's get started with the year of 2016. So, the top 20 best-selling games in 2016. We can pick and choose the ones we want to talk about here. No surprise here, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is at number 1.
Skyrim's still in there.
Skyrim's still in there. No, I'm heartbroken to
Overwatch came out this year.
What,
my God.
What number is it?
Wow.
Only number
yeah,
8?
Number 8, yeah.
Number 8, Overwatch 1. Which,
what a hyped game. I bought that at launch.
Oh, yeah,
funnily
I played Overwatch at launch.
Overwatch just announced that today starts a limited time event where they're running a mode that's Overwatch 1 rules.
A limited time.
I love that, like
same
slowly,
balance, same everything.
Ever since
for
Overwatch
1 week
2
only,
came out.
Play the game you bought and liked before we take it away.
I mean, they've just been inching back towards Overwatch 1.
This is not just a 6v6. No, it's the 1.0 balance.
Wow,
that's crazy, man.
Like launch balance. So it is the game that came out in 2016, not the game as it was before Overwatch 2 came out.
It only took them 8 years
to play that.
Revert back.
I'm so excited to play the Overwatch that I fell in love with.
I gotta point out a crazy run on this list. Number 12, Final Fantasy 15, goated game. 13, Doom 2016, goated game. 14, Dark Souls 3, goated game. 15, Minecraft, that's going to be on here a lot. 16, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. And then at 18, you have Titanfall 2, and 19, Watch Dogs 2. A lot of really great games, none of them in the top 10. I'm actually reading through the top 10 right now. I don't think even one of these... No, Skyrim. Skyrim is worth playing. Other than Skyrim, I really would not recommend any of these games to anyone.
Yeah, you have the top 5. The top 5 is Tom Clancy's The Division, which was just a Ubisoft Destiny clone. And then it was just 3, the yearly games. Yeah.
Yeah,
number 1,
games.
a Call of Duty. Number 2, a Battlefield. Number 4 was an NBA game, a 2K game.
This isn't surprising, though. This is just the state of the industry.
These are just seasonal games. These aren't games that are really worth your time unless you are interested in their subject matter.
Well, but it just goes to show you how much these games are selling, though, because, I would have told you Dark Souls 3 set the world on fire when it came out. I thought that was, the biggest game in the world.
This is the first Souls game on this list.
Yeah.
I mean, calling The Division a Destiny clone is doing it a disservice because it's just inferior.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised at how high The Division is. I mean
it was an Ubisoft
really
title.
It has some people that love it.
And this was kind of following in the footsteps of Destiny. I mean, people were chasing that Destiny paradigm, that Destiny money in this day and age. And Ubisoft, I think, came the closest with The Division.
Man, seeing Far Cry on there is wild because, that's another yearly game.
Yeah, it's Far Cry Primal, I heard, was a pretty good one, though.
Primal is my favorite Far Cry game just because of the unique premise. I love the fact that I was basically a caveman hunting people down with a stick.
I'm a blood dragon kind of guy.
The premise is a little better.
It's something dragon.
The one... Yeah, it's Blood Dragon.
Blood Dragon.
Yeah. Any other comments on 2016?
Yeah, I guess I just want to point out Pokemon Sun and Moon at number 7. Yeah, I remember them hyping this one up as a radical departure from the formula with we're not doing gym battles anymore. And
we're also not going to build an overworld.
Novelty, but I don't think it lived up to the hype at all.
It had no sense of adventure. There was barely a beaten path. There certainly was no off the beaten path. It was so weirdly linear.
Grand Theft Auto also at number 6. It doesn't disappear. Don't worry. GTA 5 is on that list.
It's a mainstay
for the rest of this.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
This episode.
Ever. All right. So should we move on to 2017?
Yep.
Yeah. So Breath of the Wild at number 5, not including digital sales. Do you think
so certain games here have an asterisk
sold.
Asterisk next to them that with the disclaimer that these games some of them don't include digital. And I think previously on this list, there were only a few games, and there were mostly Nintendo titles that had this caveat, but we're going to see them more often. And Breath of the Wild here at number 5. And yeah, I think if we included digital games with Breath of the Wild, it'd probably jump a few spots on this list.
Yeah,
I don't know if it would dethrone Call of Duty.
Yeah, I would put it at number 2 probably.
Yeah, it definitely competed. It sold 33 million copies. Yeah, so it had to have competed with Call of Duty.
Yeah, but that's Lifetime, isn't it?
That is Lifetime. I don't know if that counts digitals either.
No, yeah, Breath of the Wild had a long tail, so I don't think that
digitals.
was all in one year. But World War II, I think this was the first Call of Duty in many years that kind of took it back to, like, back in time, right? Because, like, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, they were all, like, these hyper-futuristic Call of Duties. And I know the Call of Duty fan base was kind of getting sick of those, and they were kind of yearning for the more traditional warfare-style games.
Yeah, I remember this being a big return to form. A lot of people were excited for. That's all I remember it for. Nobody talks about it anymore.
I want to point out Destiny 2 at number 3. So Destiny 2, I believe, launches in 2017. And yeah, I mean, there was so much hype around this game. Obviously, Destiny 1, it became this huge success story. It took a couple years to get going, but like, it was certainly a mainstay in the live service space. Destiny 2 launches, and it has a lot of the same launch woes as Destiny 1, where it's just kind of underbaked at launch, and it gets better over time.
We have Horizons.
But yeah, I remember being very excited for Destiny 2 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're back to seasonal releases, like the 2K games, which I understand the appeal of playing a sport game, but I never thought that 2K would be top 3 sales every year.
But what I don't get is that, like, you're buying the same game every year.
Yeah, you're buying the same game with an updated roster.
With Call of Duty, I can even understand, right? Because at least you're most of the time getting a new campaign, new maps for multiplayer.
This isn't a hot take either. Madden hasn't been good since before it came onto the 360. So at this point, 18 was one of the worst Maddens.
Like, you got to get the new DRM.
It's honestly just, I think, inertia at this point. Like, people are just so used to buying. It's time to buy Madden, you know.
And then
like
every year I hear from everybody that picks up Madden, yeah, this Madden's garbage. I'm gonna go back to playing Madden 2006. Like,
got to get the new roster.
They keep making bad games, and people keep supporting them. So obviously, whatever they're doing works.
Yeah.
If they're still in the top 5 sales every year.
I'm a little shocked to see Horizon Zero Dawn all the way down at 15. Was this a late release? This game sold really well.
Horizon, no, I don't. And Horizon came out at the same time as Breath of the Wild, famously.
Oh, that's the problem.
And I will add,
that was an early release.
Most of these games we did talk about on the podcast at least a little bit.
Yeah, we're into podcast.
We're in podcast territory, right? I mean, like, literally 2017 is the first year, right?
Yeah,
our
Star
first
Wars
episode
Battlefront 2. We talked at length about that microtransaction controversy.
Yeah, Battlefront 2 at number 8 here. Despite all the controversy, still at number 8, you know? Like,
Mass Effect Andromeda at number 16 hurts my soul.
I can't believe that game sold that well.
Didn't deserve that sales.
No.
Yeah, the only other Mass Effect game was Mass Effect 3 back in 2012, charted at number 9. It's like not even Mass Effect 2, the best one, charted. I don't know. I don't understand.
Shadow of War all the way down here. That's the one you didn't like, right, Ahmed? Shadow of War was good. Shadow of War wasn't as good.
In my opinion,
people agreed. It didn't sell as well.
But yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn at 15, and like the previous year, we briefly shouted out Uncharted 4 at 16. Again, right, like, yes, it's impressive that these games are in the top 20 selling of the year, but when you consider, like, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, it feels like on average, when Microsoft and Nintendo have a hit, they sell more copies than Sony's hits.
Yeah.
Which is strange, right? Because Sony... I mean, especially compared to Xbox, is in such a dominant position at this point, right? In terms of like consoles sold, and this is before really the PC initiative had taken place on either side. So
right,
it's just I guess a curious kind of fact to point out there. But yeah, I don't know if there's any other games I want to point out. Oh, Resident Evil 7 at number 17 here. At shout out to that game. That game rules. For Honor at 13.
What's
I
For
also
Honor?
wanted to point. Remember that Ubisoft like medieval
Oh, that was
combat
fun.
game?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun. I played the open beta and really liked it, and then I people kept Ubisoft like made me use a username I didn't want to use. I forget what happened there. It was like something I'd made as a kid or something. I don't remember. But people kept like there was a game mode in this that was a 2v2, and you would be on opposite ends of the map, and I would win my fight and then go kill the other guy. And then they would yell at me for not being honorable because the game was called For Honor. This game had the most toxic community of any game I've ever played. It was just so stupid. So what was even the point of me winning my fight quickly if I wasn't allowed? Like, why is it 2v2? Why don't you just play the 1v1 game mode? The community killed this game for me completely. And this wasn't an isolated thing. It was like dozens of times this happened to me.
For Honor is always one of those games when I like saw an ad for, like saw gameplay of it, I was like, this looks so cool. But then I just never played it. I feel like I would like it if I tried it, but
back then,
and definitely kind of a unique game from Ubisoft.
It was really
in
fun.
an era where they're kind of just churning out the same thing.
Yeah, everyone I knew who played it was kind of. I wouldn't play games with them anymore.
All right, 2018, for the first time in many, many years, since the last Rockstar game, actually, Call of Duty is not number one.
No.
So we have Red Dead Redemption 2 at number one.
The
Call of Duty Black Ops 4 at number
gaming.
2. I disagree with you there. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is an incredible video game.
I mean, looking at the sales charts, it falls off real hard, though.
Really?
Compared to GTA 5? Yeah, 2019,
yeah, I mean,
it's all the way down in 13.
I mean, that's still millions of copies, but like Red Dead doesn't have the same staying power as GTA. And I think famously they tried with Red Dead 2. Like they had the Red Dead Online.
Red Dead Online didn't get any real support.
That was a cool novelty for a little bit, but it died almost immediately, and everyone who was still kind of interested in that sort of thing went back to GTA Online. So GTA Online, still the kind of like evergreen online multiplayer Rockstar experience.
You can't sell
But
sports cars in Red Dead.
Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 4. Yeah.
Yeah, so finally we see this game, this series catapulting into the top 5.
Didn't this release in December? I think it did. I remember release night. I had graduated college, I'm pretty sure, for the release of this.
Yeah, so December 7th. Wow. And it's
so
number 4.
20 days it managed to sell.
Well, I remember, like, gosh, I mean, no other Smash game was as hyped as this one, especially with the Everywhere is Here trailer. That one was just kind of a mind-blowing thing where, like, it was revealed that, like, every single character, every single stage from previous Smash games was going to make it into this game.
This was a special game to play at launch, too. Just playing through all the classic modes with the little stories they tell. And, World of Light, is that what it was called?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it was the first time, I think there might have been a cheat code in Melee, but first time you get to play as Master Hand.
You could play, yeah, you could like hack or cheat in Melee to play as Master Hand.
Okay. Was it like an action replay thing, or was it a cheat code?
Not action replay. It's just like a weird.
Okay.
It's not even a cheat code. It's just like you trick the
We only
game
get to do it in Smash Ultimate the one time. I don't even think you can replay the level. It's really weird.
But yeah, Smash Ultimate, it was I don't know how they're even gonna come close to topping Smash Ultimate in the future, and I don't think they're gonna try. They're probably gonna go in a radically different direction from this point on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had that ridiculously huge roster, like 100 characters or so. It was supported with new characters for years and years. And we saw some like really stellar characters join in the DLC. Like for me, Banjo-Kazooie was a huge addition.
Huge.
You get Persona in Smash Bros.
That's still a weird one for me.
It's just this Smash game, more than any of the others, it kind of showed that the rules are just off the table. Anyone has the potential to join Smash Brothers.
Goku.
Except Goku, yeah. Even though he was probably, I think he was like the number one requested character.
Yeah.
Sakura just was like, please stop, you degenerates.
Now I want Luffy.
But yeah, Sora is in this game. I mean, like, it's just a Cloud and Sephiroth and Minecraft is Steve.
Yeah,
You know, like
Minecraft
it's
Steve.
just
And he's like really strong too. I think he's S tier.
yeah,
I'm pretty
he's
sure.
like a top tier character. It's incredible what they were able to pull off with this game, right? Because it's not like it's no small feat going to all these people and being like, hey, can we use your character from this IP? And it just seems like everyone across the gaming industry just has this mutual respect for Super Smash Brothers. So Sakurai was able to get what he wanted, and he made his ultimate Smash game. So I'm looking forward to see what he does next. But please, let that man rest if he wants to rest.
Spider-Man at number 6. I would have expected it to be a top fiver.
Yeah, so Spider-Man is, well, I think at this point it's Sony's best-selling exclusive. I think in future years it's dethroned by Spider-Man 2, God of War, Ragnarok, and The Last of Us Part 2. But
I thought Horizon sold better than Spider-Man.
No.
Okay.
Spider-Man sold better than Horizon.
Okay.
So Spider-Man at
Man,
number
they were on
6.
fire this year.
And Spider-Man, it felt like a return to form for Spider-Man games as well, because like there were those Activision Spider-Man games over the years. I never really gravitated towards those, but this was like a full-fledged, like full story Spider-Man game with complete like free roaming, swinging in New York, all of that. And the last time you really got something like that was, I think, the movie tie-in games with that level of freedom, like swinging through the city. So, yeah, super fun game, and really good story as well. And then, yeah, like you said, Sony kind of on fire this year. Number 8, God of War 2018, the reinvention of God of War that really kind of set the world on fire.
Number 9, I gotta shout out my beloved Monster Hunter World.
Monster Hunter World.
Gotta keep
9.
in mind, they're missing a third of their audience with this one. This is only PlayStation and Xbox. It didn't come to PC until a year later, I believe.
But I just want to point out, though, like this is the first one which really kind of broke mainstream popularity. Yeah. Like Monster Hunter is now on people's radar, even though it's been around for many, many years.
This is the best-selling Capcom game of all time.
World was the one that really kind of like broke through to the mainstream.
Yeah.
And then number 10.
I just want to predict Wilds will be a top fiver, I think, next year.
I agree. Yeah,
all
I think that's
at once. Yeah.
That's a fair assumption. But number 10, Pokemon Let's Go. So this is interesting, right? Like it's a unique Pokemon game because it was very much a reaction to Pokemon Go taking over and trying to see if like are like mainstream video game audiences interested in that kind of casual gameplay. I mean, and it did well.
Yeah,
like
I think
I
assume
yes. I think the answer is yes. I have a feeling it didn't do quite like as well because like Pokemon Go. I mean, let's be real. Like literally everyone on the planet played Pokemon Go.
Yeah, set the world on fire.
I think they were expecting something similar for Let's Go, and I think that's why we haven't seen another Let's Go style game since this one.
I'm kind of glad though. I mean, what were they gonna do? Remake Johto?
I don't know, but yeah, I'm glad as well. Like I'm glad this game exists because it is unique. And it's just kind of an interesting direction for Pokemon to explore, but I absolutely would not want mainstream Pokemon to turn into that. So, okay, moving on. Mario Kart 8 at number 13. This has been on the list, I think, every year since it came out, which makes sense with what we know of Mario Kart 8 sales. Fallout 76 at number 14.
I can't believe it's as high. I can't believe it's on this list at all. I mean, this game
was a stinker at launch.
Not just a stinker, but like you couldn't give this game away. You could go to any GameStop and buy this game for $1 not very long after launch. It was ridiculous. They were just handing it out because it was so hated.
I really just think Bethesda has that cachet, right? Like people see Bethesda attached to a game and buy it like sight unseen.
Yeah.
So
people like it now. I was heartbroken, obvious. I think all three of us probably were. The idea of a major player set in West Virginia happening.
Yeah, and West Virginia MMO made by Bethesda. It's just like, who could have called that? But
and then
and apparently now it's pretty good. But I don't know. I'm kind of over it.
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey at number 17. Yeah, this is 2017. No, this is 2018.
This is 2018. Mario Odyssey on it again. It was also on it on 2017.
Yes, it was at number 9, 2017. Yeah, I mean, fantastic 3D Mario, one of the best.
Fighters on here.
Yeah, I want to point that out.
That's a top 20.
Dragon Ball Fighters at number 18. I don't know. Like the Dragon Ball IP has disgusting potential. Like this is a hardcore fighting game, right? This is not a casual game this is not Sparking Zero, right? Like to play this game, you're going to have to put in like Street Fighter levels of effort, and yet it's still in the top 20 best-selling games of 2018. So I think that just speaks to the power of the Dragon Ball IP that it's on here. And I think that's all I really want to shout out in 2018. You guys want to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, let's go.
2019. All right, Return of Call of Duty back at top.
Another Modern Warfare.
Modern Warfare. This time they didn't bother calling it something else. Just
2K, Madden.
Pokemon Sword and Shield. This was another low point in Pokemon. They were just on a losing streak here. I actually did not get Sword and Shield until years later.
I really liked Sword and Shield. I liked it way better than XY and like Black White and
I think that's fair.
And Alola, but I thought Sword and Shield was quite fun, and I thought the raid mechanics and the multiplayer kind of breathed some life into Pokemon in a unique way. And they carried that over to Scarlet and Violet, but it started in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I think Scarlet and Violet kind of did it much better. I really like Scarlet and Violet. I wish it wasn't such a bad game.
But I do think Sword and Shield, it marked an interesting new direction for Pokemon at the very least, because it had become very stale over the years.
Yeah.
With like the first like kind of quote unquote 3D open Pokemon game or whatever.
I really like the idea of the gyms being like sports stadiums too.
I wanted to point that out.
Done it better.
That idea of like these gym battles being events where like there's stadiums full of people cheering and the music's gets you pumped. Like for Pokemon, it was well done, I think.
If they could actually deliver on it, like actually have audience sounds and everything, I think it would be remarkable.
Even what they had, it was more exciting doing gym battles in this game than previous games for that reason.
I agree. What's crazy is they had nailed it in previous games. They had done a really good job of that in Pokemon Battle Revolution. The idea of an audience and the arenas and everything. I don't understand what was lost. Well, I think that was a different studio, but still, you have this brilliant template you could be looking at, and they're just not doing it. Which is Story of Game Freak.
Yeah, Story of Game Freak.
I'm shocked to see Borderlands 3 in a top 5. I hate this
Borderlands
game.
just has like an insane staying power as an IP.
I think this game was the worst Borderlands game.
As a turn your brain off, make fun of the humor, and just shoot guys while on Discord with a buddy, adequate game. As a game you spend $60, $70 for and are excited to play, oh my god. Horrible game. The dialogue is atrocious. The guns are kind of boring.
I remember getting bored of this game pretty quickly.
The areas are forgettable. I can't believe Gearbox
Borderlands,
is like still kicking.
Borderlands as an IP is just so strong. Like it always sells. They're trying to do like movies and stuff too.
They had that awful movie.
Yeah.
I need to watch that. Oh man, maybe that'll be a crossover episode where I get you guys to drink. And we'll watch the Borderlands movie.
All right.
Mortal Kombat 11 was pretty fun. We have that at number 6.
Mortal Kombat is by far the most popular fighting game series I've learned.
Deserved.
Just by looking at this list. Yeah. It's just fun. You know, the ultra violence makes it quite the spectacle. Jedi Fallen Order at number 7.
Is that the first one or the second one?
That's the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first one.
We talked about this on the show. I remember.
Yeah, when this game came out, it really felt like a return to form for EA, right? Because they had previously released Battlefront 2. I think this game was a statement like, okay, we're listening to you. Here's this single-player game, no microtransactions, and it was quite good. I remember having a lot of fun with this game. It was like a Souls-light.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the first mass-market appeal Souls-light, right? Made by a different company.
Yeah.
Where the difficulty wasn't really the focus, but you have the dodge roll, you have the bonfires, you have all that stuff.
Yeah, and it fit well with the Star Wars formula. Like, incorporating that into lightsaber mechanics just kind of fit like a glove, and it was fun.
This game just took a little bit from everywhere. It had a lot of Uncharted DNA, too.
It did.
Which I don't think it did that well, but it did do it.
I still got to play the sequel, which I do want to play because I really genuinely enjoyed the first game.
I still need to finish the first game. I think it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, it's a good game. All right. Smash Ultimates number 8 only fell like 4 spots year to year, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's still getting DLC.
Well,
Yeah,
people
it's
probably
still-
didn't buy it until the next year either. Like, it came out in December in 2018.
In December, yeah. And it was still in the top 5 without counting digital games.
That's
which
crazy,
is
yeah. So that
disgusting.
might have been like a top 1 or 2 with digital.
I would say probably I can't see it outselling COD or Red Dead though.
I don't see
So
it.
I would
Yeah.
putting it 3, but okay. What else?
Did you
And
guys play Kingdom Hearts? Either of you?
I've never
No.
touched Kingdom Hearts.
I still can't get a temperature on this game. When it came out, I thought everybody hated it. A year went by, suddenly everybody was remembering it fondly and excited for the next one. I have no idea whether this is any good.
I don't
I've
know.
only
Man.
ever played the first one.
Kingdom Hearts scares me. It's just I don't know. It just seems so convoluted. It's like Disney plus anime plus Metal Gear. I'm just like I don't know. I think I'm good.
I just had my mind blown, dude. Anthem is number 15 on this list. It was the 15th best-selling game in the world of this year, and it was still
canceled.
dropped. Yeah,
See, I mean, that's just a perfect case study of like the level of money these live service games have to make to be successful.
I mean that's
The fact
ridiculous.
that
fascinating.
Anthem sold that much to be
Yeah, I
number
know.
what? Number 15?
Yeah, I was a little okay. I don't know if this reflected in our early episodes. I was actually a little excited for Anthem. I know that first trailer that they showed.
That first trailer was incredible.
It was
like,
a little cringe. They had like the people pretending to play the game and talking, but like the flying into combat underwater.
Yeah, no, the gameplay looked
looks-
so good.
Yeah.
What they were promising looked incredible.
And I've still never played it. Not
I've never
a
played it,
single
yeah.
frame of it has graced my monitor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this game was the 15th best-selling game of 2019, and it was still a bomb to the level of it. Like, the game stopped being supported, and it almost killed BioWare. Like, imagine that. The level of... that's why this is the perfect example of why this live service game is just so foolish. Because unless it's literally, like, the best-selling game in the world, you're going to just set money on fire.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Okay. Couple last things. Resident Evil 2 remake at number 17.
Great game.
Fantastic game. And this was like the first of the, I guess, more modern Resident Evil remakes.
We only have
They
two.
started with
Oh,
2?
They did 4. Yeah. I forgot they did 4.
They-
4 is so different from 2 and
No,
3.
So they did 2, 3, then 4.
Yeah.
And 2 was actually my first introduction to traditional quote unquote Resident Evil, because I actually jumped in with Resident Evil with 7.
Is it really
Um,
I feel like the remake of 2 has more in common with 7 than original Resident Evil 2.
What?
You
I
don't
mean,
agree with that?
Resident Evil 7 is a first person
Yeah, I
survival
know,
horror
but
game.
Resident Evil 2 original is like a fixed camera tank control type deal.
Yeah.
I think they modernized it well, though, right? With that third person over the shoulder perspective.
Yeah, but I think it has more in common with Resident Evil 7 than it does with original Resident Evil 2.
I mean, I haven't played Resident Evil 2 original, so I can't comment on that, but I personally felt like these games felt very different.
I
I
just
thought-
don't think it's I think it's a really good remake. I don't think it's faithful, is what I'm saying, I guess. I think it is more interested in being modern than it is with being like that original game.
And I think it did what it set out to do extremely successfully, like making a modern Resident Evil 2.
Oh yeah,
Like,
people love it. I'm not saying this is a bad thing at all. I just there's still reason to look at original Resident Evil 2. It's not a
Mhm.
replacement level remake.
all right. Anything else? Luigi's Mansion 3 at number 18.
Luigi's
Days
Mansion
Gone
3.
at number 19.
Yeah. Luigi's Mansion 3 was a good return to form. I still don't know how to put a finger on it. Yeah, do you guys like the original Luigi's Mansion?
I have never
played-
played Luigi's Mansion.
The first one was like a weird Nintendo take on Resident Evil. Like it was almost kind of scary, which was terrifying to me as a kid. And there was just something about it that they have not managed to recapture in either of the sequels. 3 gets a lot closer than 2 did, but I think having it's like open world, not open world, but like 3 is really segmented to the floors of a hotel, whereas 1 was just exploring a mansion. Luigi's Mansion 2 has a literal level select, which is horrendous. Don't even get me started. I don't know. I hope they can recapture it with 4, is all I'm saying.
I think it's quite funny to see Days Gone on this list at all.
Yeah, it is.
To even be on this list is impressive, right? Like,
Yeah.
as a Sony exclusive.
To beat New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which is a 2D Mario.
It is curious to me why Sony canned Days Gone, because it wasn't critically received well, and that might be the reason, but critical reception shouldn't matter if the sales are there, and I think the sales actually were there for Days Gone.
It was good enough to get a remake.
Well, a remaster.
Remaster, sorry.
But it's like, it's not selling like Uncharted or Last of Us or God of War or Horizon, but not everything has to sell that well. This sold seemingly well enough. It's getting a movie too. Like, they're still using the IP, but they killed the video game side of it, which is very strange. I don't know. Kind of an odd one out there. But okay, let's move on to 2020.
This is heartbreaking.
Finally entering the modern decade here. Two Call of Duty games at the top. Cold War at number 1 and Modern Warfare at number 2.
2019 Modern Warfare is number 1. 2020 it's number 2. How do you? So people like
That's crazy,
this one.
dude. So yeah, Modern Warfare was a return because like people yearned for COD 4, right? And this was basically like, hey, this is COD 4 again.
Yeah.
So people were all over this game. So yeah, that's just crazy to me. Like 2 Call of Duty games are number 1 and 2. Oh man, people. Okay.
Animal Crossing New Horizons.
This
at
is
number 4.
This is the year of Animal Crossing.
You love to see it.
And this is we're entering COVID era right now, which is wild to say, but yeah. Animal Crossing New Horizons, without counting digital, was number 4 in 2020.
This one you could convince me it was number 1 with digital sales.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one I could see a case for it. It was just like Animal Crossing on Switch with the combination of COVID was such a potent sales combination. Like everyone purchased this game, everyone was playing this game.
It breaks my heart that there's no reason for me to turn this game on anymore. Old Animal Crossing, I don't know exactly how they managed it, but old Animal Crossing, I had a reason to turn it on every day for years and years. And New Horizons did not have that staying power for me at all. It was not quite a year, I think I played that game.
Yeah, I always hear that Animal Crossing is this forever game, but I feel like after the first 2 months, I was largely done with this game.
Yeah.
And they kept adding stuff to it to try and bring me back, and it just never really happened.
Historically, there's so many more things to do. Older Animal Crossing games, like you only have 2 tiers to your shop in this. There's like the kind of shack one that they first build, and then it gets upgraded one time. Just Animal Crossing Wild World, for instance, I think it had 5 stages that your shop would go through that you would upgrade. It gave you more reasons to play with your friends. Like, you could not get the final stage without a friend coming and buying something from your store. You eventually got a hair salon.
Yeah. I think the most unfortunate part of New Horizons was how little you affected the world, really.
Yeah.
Like, nothing really went through stages. Nothing really grew after your first 7 days.
Right. It was all building. And granted, I see what they were doing, which was that you built the town. The town didn't grow up around you. But I think there's a happy medium there where you have the freedom to do all that building you could do, but also your Tom Nook store or your Nook store would get bigger and your museum would get bigger and the hair salon would pop up. And maybe there are some mini games that you can play with your friends so that, like, the multiplayer in this game, for how popular it was, essentially the entire game turns off when you play multiplayer. You cannot do anything. You just walk around and look at stuff. But it just breaks my heart because I do have an intense nostalgia for my island. I can visualize it right now. I think this game is gorgeous visually. The ambiance
what it did
is
well,
perfect.
it was just, it did it perfectly. And,
I just wish there was stuff to do in that world now that I've done it all.
I really feel like this game might be a precursor to a more modern Animal Crossing. I hope so, at least. But
it's not even
you
that.
never know with Nintendo.
The old Animal Crossing games had more to do than this one did. Genuinely. There were like New Leaf had mini games. It had a shop that evolves and everything. This game's greatest crime is how much it did not bring forward from the previous entry for some reason.
Well, what I will say is this was my first Animal Crossing game, and I enjoyed it immensely. But like looking at veterans of the series, like hearing you talk about it, hearing a bunch of people talk about it, it is evident that it seems like a lot of things were cut from this game.
And a lot of it did
wonder
come
if
back
it was
later.
it was patched in over the course of years, but they kind of, I don't know, it kind of missed the boat. So I hope the next one is more feature packed at launch rather than the whole like trickling in DLC over years.
It's such a fascinating case study though, because a lot of games I would have said let it cook another year. But if Animal Crossing, let it cook,
it came out
another
at the
year,
perfect time. Yeah,
it could not have done what it did culturally,
blowing the world up.
And I'm sure this game coming out when it did is going to ensure massive sales for the next Animal Crossing as well. Because
which is going to come out next year as a launch title for the Switch 2.
Oh man, could you imagine? I really, this is a conspiracy theory, but I'm fully convinced Nintendo is just sitting on like a dozen plus first party games.
I don't think it's a dozen
plus
plus.
Switch 2.
I
think they're sitting on a lot of games. I think
we have yet another live service game that fell out. Marvel's Avengers was in this.
What? Oh, it's all the way down to 14.
Yeah, it's all the way down to 14.
Well, okay, before we get there, there's a couple games I want to point out. So The Last of Us Part 2 at number 7. At this point, this is Sony's best-selling PlayStation game. And despite the quote-unquote controversy this launched around, because quite famously, if you guys remember, a month or two before the launch of this game, like critical spoilers leaked for this game, which kind of radicalized a part of the internet, and
I had forgotten that.
A whole like right-wing machine activated and really tried to tear into this game. So even in the face of all that, it sold extremely well. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla at number 6. I just want to shout out that game as being like a modern Assassin's Creed formula that was actually pretty fun.
Valhalla was fun. I think Odyssey was better though.
I didn't play it.
At this point, like, it's just and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it was we didn't mention it, but in 2018 it did chart at number 12. But yeah, Valhalla, it was fun for a while, but it's
not Assassin's Creed.
Is the perfect encapsulation of what's wrong with modern Assassin's Creed in that there's just too much bloat.
There's no stealth either.
Way too much. It's basically just a Viking RPG.
Yeah,
why did you even call it Assassin's Creed?
That's how I felt about Black Flag too, though. The Assassin's Creed parts felt so out of place in both of these, whereas I think the actual Viking part was fun.
So I think it started with Black Flag, but at least in Black Flag, Black Flag was more assassin-y than Valhalla. Valhalla, they just crammed a Viking RPG into the Assassin's Creed name. Like, there was no reason. But
it was fun though.
I digress. Yeah, it was fun. All right. What else? Ghost of Tsushima at number 9. So this is a huge breakout success story again for a new PlayStation IP, and I think Ghost of Yotei. I think people are going to be surprised at how much it sells when it comes out. People really love the Ghost IP, and for a new IP to launch top 10, very impressive stuff. And I had a lot of fun with this game as well. Mike, you recently played it too, right?
I've not touched it since I talked about it. I've been busy.
All right, fair. So Doom Eternal at number 10.
Amazing game. This is maybe the first time in my life I ever bought 2 video games in the same day. This and Animal Crossing came out.
And famously, day
and date. And it was amazing. I played Animal Crossing all day, and then switched to Doom Eternal when it got dark outside.
There's only been a few moments in my life where stuff like that has happened. It is pure video gaming bliss when it does. Okay, I want to point out Mario Kart 8 still on this list at number 11, but Super Mario 3D All-Stars at number 12. Famously, Nintendo was like, okay, we're only going to have this as a limited release, so if you want your old Marios, officially get them here, and people bought it. The physical sales alone got this to number 12 on this list.
This is the one that doesn't have BLJs, right? You can't backwards long jump.
I think they patched it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. What a misplay. Nintendo just does not care about their old library.
Yeah. All right. So putting on the gas pedal a little bit. So Final Fantasy VII Remake at 13. I don't think we need to touch on that there. Everyone knows how big of a deal this game was. Yeah, I'm surprised it's not higher as well. Marvel's Avengers, like Mike pointed out, at 14. Another live service kind of flop.
One of the most famous ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miles Morales.
Spider-Man Miles Morales at 15. So I'm not surprised it being lower. Like, obviously, it was going to sell less than Spider-Man because it is an interstitial game. Like, it's not a full game. I mean, it is a
better.
full game.
It is a full
right,
game.
but it's not like a mainline entry in the series. So
it is, in my opinion, a better story than the original.
I think it does a lot of things better than the original.
really-
right? It's just
it
a
has
lot.
heart.
It's a lot tighter. I like the brief length of it actually.
Yeah, me too.
And it still feels like a meaningful story that's being told there.
Yeah.
So
Minecraft.
glad to see that on this
again.
list. Minecraft, Smash Ultimate. Okay, let's move on to 2021. Call of Duty Vanguard at number 1. Black Ops Cold War at number 3.
Call of Duty
Whoa,
Black Ops Cold
Dude,
War. What a crazy title.
Pokemon Brilliant
That's
Diamond Shining Pearl at number 5?
Without digital. That's crazy to me because
How did it sell that well?
I thought people hated this game. I actually kind of want to play this, but haven't yet. Because I like Diamond and Pearl. I really like Diamond and Pearl. I never played Platinum, so I'm not going to miss the Platinum stuff, really. And
Platinum's
I think
a great game.
the whole underground thing that they did, I thought was really neat in this remake. And I like the chibi style. Lots of people complain that the like art style is lazy or whatever. But I'm a firm believer in and I've said this on the show before too, because this is pretty recent. We were recording I think we were weekly at this point on the show.
Yeah.
And I believe in playing to your strengths. Game Freak is not capable of fully realizing a 3D world. They've shown it time and time again. And if you're not capable of doing it, you should either get better at it, which they're not doing, or you should do something you are capable of. And the chibi art style in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl worked. It looked good to me. It was very reminiscent of the original. I liked it. It's a prettier game than Scarlet and Violet.
I want to point out something you're saying here. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were the first mainline Pokemon games that were not developed by Game Freak.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So this was someone else.
Fascinating.
ILCA.
Okay.
Not sure who that is, but
I probably knew that at some point. I'd forgotten. Still, I would rather see that style than a broken mess like Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually played these remakes and I thought they were just fine. It was kind of like eating bland food, right? Like I think a lot of charm was lost between the original and this game. But
I haven't played
it
them,
was
so
Diamond and Pearl. So.
I can't meaningfully argue.
Sorry, Mike, were you going to say something?
No, I mean, just broken games. Well, even Shining Diamond or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl were broken, right?
I don't remember them being broken.
Oh, were they broken? Yeah,
remember
it's hard to remember now. I remember there being issues with this game, though. Like, people were not happy.
I do remember interesting. So I don't know enough about Pokemon game modding to defend what I'm about to say, really. But I have heard that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, the code was so similar to the original Diamond and Pearl that a lot of the mods were extremely easy to port over. Which confuses me because I'm pretty sure it's a Unity game, and I know that Diamond and Pearl were not Unity games. But the structure was so similar code-wise that the mods were able to be ported quickly. And this game had mods like within weeks of release. It was really fast. Just an interesting tidbit. Battlefield 2042. Do you guys remember this? This game?
I remember this game being hyped, but I never actually played it.
I was
remember it getting
extremely excited for it. There was like a creation kit for this, I think. There were all these tools. You were going to be able to do anything you could do in previous Battlefield games. I don't think I'm getting this confused with a different one.
Yeah, no, it was the Battlefield Portal.
Yeah, and it came out and it was a horrible broken mess and everyone hated it. I cannot believe it's at number 6. This was a disaster. Like I had friends from the Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 days that were so hyped to play this game. And we played the demo or the beta, whatever, that was like a few months before launch, and it was so bad that neither of us bothered. Like it was so bad.
Yeah. I'm starting to remember now the consternation around this game. It really feels like Battlefield always sets themselves up to be like, okay, this is the year where we take down Call of Duty, and something always happens, right? The game's either a broken mess or like something happens. So maybe one day, but. Miles Morales at number 7 in 2021, so it actually rose significantly. So people love Spider-Man, man.
Must have been a late release.
What can I say?
In 2020.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Miles Morales was like a Christmas game.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, and
Christmas is in the game.
it takes place during Christmas, yeah. And we almost failed to, I mean, we did fail to mention completely. 2020 is when the current gen consoles launched. So
Oh, I forgot. I see. I don't.
there you go.
Or I don't play on console. I don't even know those dates.
Yeah, so we're in PS5, Xbox Series territory now.
Interesting.
Still seeing Grand Theft Auto on this list at number 9 in 2021.
Yeah.
Well,
Resident
it
Evil
re-released
Village.
on. Didn't it re-release on the new consoles, the PS5?
Yeah, they got like remastered versions, so
Yeah.
it's just gonna keep trucking. But Resident Evil Village at 10, love this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just over the years turned into a huge Resident Evil fan, huge Capcom fan. I think these are all just excellent games. So had a lot of fun with that one. Let's see, Far Cry 6 at 12.
Bowser's
Mario 3D
Fury.
World, Bowser's Fury at 13.
I love this game. It's so slept on in the 3D Mario conversation. Even I forget about it a lot of the time, and it's maybe my favorite 3D Mario. I went and replayed it recently. It's so fun. I love this game.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that this is just a prelude to what they're cooking up with the next 3D Mario. So I'm excited.
We'll see.
All right.
No, I gotta say,
Almost.
Back for Blood sucks. The game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Back for Blood at number 20, carried by nostalgia. I'm convinced it's on this list because of nostalgia alone.
Bad game.
It's just objectively a bad game.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to 2022, we're almost done with this list.
I did not know
So-
Elden Ring was number 2.
Elden
Yeah.
Ring blew up, man. Elden Ring was From Software saying to the world that, hey, here we are, everyone, and you better listen.
What a game.
I mean, it's my favorite game as of right now. Like, I can't think of a game I like better than Elden Ring. So,
I can't go that far, but I like Elden Ring pretty good. And it was like no contest game of the year 2022.
yeah, it was, nothing else came even remotely close. But it still lost out to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 sales-wise,
Yeah.
which
Is what it is.
it is what it is. God of War Ragnarok at number 5. Finally, we see a Sony game in the top 5. One of the only times we've seen a Sony game in the top 5 of the year.
Yeah. This game was
so, yeah,
insanely hype.
Ragnarok, I think, so it's currently their second fastest selling game behind Spider-Man 2. And I think we'll see Spider-Man 2, next year. But yeah, God of War Ragnarok, you still haven't played it, Connor, so I'm not going to go into spoilers, but it is the thrilling conclusion to this saga of Kratos and Atreus' story. So
I will contend, if this game had been day and date on PC, it'd be number 3 on this list. There was so much hype around this game.
I think you might be right. I mean, like, because 2018 released on PC and it got played quite a bit.
did
People
well,
were into it. Yeah.
Ragnarok is doing well on PC as well.
Yeah. People just love God of War.
It's out on PC now. I just haven't had so many games. I haven't gotten to it.
Oh,
I
yeah, I
almost
know.
bought it this past week because it's a stressful week. I needed a game to take my mind off it, but that ended up being
Yeah.
Factorio.
Well, yeah, that's probably a better comfort game, right? God of War.
I don't know. Sometimes it depends on what you want. Sometimes you want to be immersed into a story and so completely
fair,
taken
yeah.
out of the world. Factorio is kind of work. I'll get into that
That's
later.
true, yeah. Okay. Moving on. Scarlet Violet Pokemon at number 7. So
God, I want this game to be good.
next mainline Pokemon game, and this is the latest mainline Pokemon game, right? We haven't gotten one.
We haven't had one in 2 years. That's wild.
Yeah. So yeah, Scarlet Violet, and I remember it was fun. But it didn't really fix any of the problems, I think, from Sword and Shield.
I disagree with that. I think it was mechanically extremely solid, and I liked it a lot more than Sword and Shield. I loved the open world. I just felt so much freedom to form a team, even. You could go wherever you wanted, make a team.
Yeah, that
it
was fun.
Had a huge feature for me, personally. I don't know how many people care about this, but you could do multiplayer all the time. You could have another person running around your world, and like you could bump into each other
Yeah.
and have a battle. That was huge.
And-
That was me and my cousin played it that way, and we treated each other like rivals. When we bumped into each other, we would battle.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that there's a clear upward trajectory from Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet in like multiplayer features.
Yes.
So like I imagine the next mainline game will have an even more like better integrated multiplayer suite. And I think that's really exciting for something like Pokemon, right?
I am
Pokemon in a
not holding my
multiplayer
breath.
capacity. Pokemon in multiplayer capacity is like a match
It
made
is.
in heaven, right? As we can see by something like Pal World, right? Pal World was incredibly popular because of that, I
Yeah.
think. So
I
I hope
genuinely-
Pokemon can go in that direction.
Scarlet and Violet would be the best Pokemon games if they weren't such a performance train wreck and so ugly world-wise. There's not
Yeah.
a single part. You cannot take a screenshot of this game that looks good. It is so ugly.
Yeah, I remember the graphics being infamously bad. Like, you just saw so much aliasing on like a basic
Just the
edge, and
the
it was
very
just, it just
small-
looked so. It looked like a Nintendo 64 game at times. It was
it
just
looked
like, what are you guys
worse
doing?
because at least they tried to hide it in N64 games. You would have you'd be looking at the side of a mountain and it's just you can clearly see the checkerboarding texture across the side in low resolution. These games. The Pokemon look great, to be fair. They look really good, but the environment is hideous. And
yeah.
I've always enjoyed the worlds of Pokemon games. I've always thought that the cities were cool and memorable, and there is not a memorable city in Scarlet and Violet at all.
Yeah, I don't remember any of the cities. I do remember running around the field though.
Yeah, the field.
Yeah.
They're all the same.
All right. Pokemon Legends Arceus at number 9. So I remember this game was super popular.
I liked it.
I
Haven't finished it, but I
it
liked
kind
it.
of was like it was kind of like a
It was a treat. It was a precursor.
it took like what was it? Was it like Monster Hunter light mechanics and shoved them into Pokemon?
I would have said that at the time, yeah. And I still kind of feel that way because you sort of go out on an expedition and catch some Pokemon and then return to a village. It has a bit of a Monster Hunter feel to it.
Yeah. I still got to play this game. I never actually sat down and played it.
It's pretty good. It's better than... It's
The
missing the
mainline games.
multiplayer stuff, but yeah,
Mm.
I'm excited for Legends ZA, the next Legends game. Especially because they got creative with the combat in Legends Arceus. They you had you could do a fast or a strong version of a move, which would be faster or slower and hit harder. And I liked it. It shook it up a little.
Yeah, and I'm glad that there's this different branch for Pokemon now, because like we discussed a couple years ago, they tried it with Let's Go, and they didn't follow up on that, right? Like we had the one Let's Go game, but they are following up on Legends Arceus. This is like a new style of Pokemon that's probably going to stick around for a while.
I'm not convinced Legends ZA is going to be anything like Legends Arceus, though. I think they might just do something totally totally new with it. There's not a lot of reason other than the title to believe they're going to be similar, because Legends Arceus takes place in the past, and it's all about these open environments where you're catching Pokemon is new. Legends ZA seems to take place maybe in the future, and it's in a city. It's in
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Lumia City, the Paris analog from XY.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I wonder why they're... I mean, the name definitely implies that the mechanics are going to be the same, but
Right.
they'd probably have to... I don't know. They're probably going to have a neat twist on them, considering the setting. All right. Number 10, Horizon Forbidden West.
It says Horizon 2 Forbidden West. Nobody says that.
No one says that. It's just Horizon Forbidden West. Yeah, I think Horizon Forbidden West is a great game. I preferred Zero Dawn. And I think most people did too, because Zero Dawn sold more than Forbidden West, but still like a super high selling, super critically acclaimed game for Sony. And this game, I think, is the beginning of the inundation with Horizon media, because we're getting the Lego game, the TV show. There's all sorts of Horizon stuff happening. I'm pretty sure there's a multiplayer game being made.
Oh, really? That's not going to be any good.
All right. Anything else of
Kirby
note on here?
Kirby number 20. Let's
Kirby.
go.
Number 20, Kirby. Yeah,
Kirby and the Forgotten
managed to make it
Land.
on this list.
Did you guys play
Tina's
this?
Wonderlands is on there too.
Yeah, Tiny Teeny Wonders. Yeah,
I'll be
I'm kinda
talking about
surprised
that at
that's
some
on
point in the future.
Did you guys
I
play
have
Kirby and the
plans to play
Forgotten
through
Land?
it. No.
I did. I played almost all of it.
I
And
played. I played a decent amount as Waddle Dee. A girl I was seeing kept bringing it over, and we would play it, and it was really fun. But I was no longer talking to her, and found myself in a position where I'd played 70% of a game, and was I gonna buy the game to play the last 30% or whatever? And I never got to finish it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. like it's a good game. It's not a must-play Nintendo game. Let me just put it that way. So I'm glad it's on this list. I think it's fun. I love that they're showing Kirby some love, right? Like this was the first kind of 3D Kirby game. And I think Kirby's a really fun character, so I'd love to see more done with him.
I love Kirby so much.
All right, final year here, 2023, and we are done with this list. So number 1, again, Call of Duty being dethroned, which is a rare thing, but we have Hogwarts Legacy outselling Modern Warfare 3.
Happy to see it not be Call of Duty. Wish it was not Harry Potter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, I think this game coming out was a wake-up call to a lot of people that, hey, this IP is just disgustingly popular worldwide. And I think we're going to get a lot more, like, Hogwarts style or Harry Potter games in the future. Because, like, game-wise, this IP was dormant for the longest time, but all of a sudden it comes out and is the best-selling game over Call of Duty. I think that speaks a lot to the sales potency of that series.
So I resisted the urge to buy Hogwarts Legacy, despite I have a lot of vitriol for Harry Potter and its modern place in the world, but it is a deeply nostalgic series for me that I was in love with as a kid. If you hand me a Persona game set in the Harry Potter universe, I will not be able to say no.
I didn't even think of something like that. Yeah, I do think like, and I mean, obviously, like, J.K. Rowling's an awful person. We don't have to go there, but the Harry Potter IP, I think, has a lot of potential for stuff like that, right? Like Persona, I didn't never even thought of it, but that fits like a glove. That would be a perfect fusion.
That's what I think Legacy was missing, was that I don't feel like you spent a lot of time just being a student at Hogwarts. From what I saw, you did a lot of adventuring, a lot of time outside the castle, and what I want from a Hogwarts game would be the student
simulator
experience. Yeah.
No, I'm with you there. Yeah.
And I think Persona is I mean, there's probably another format you could do that in if you want to get original, but if we're just copying, which is what I think they want to do, if we're just copying an existing format, it's the Persona format for me. For sure.
But I do think we'll see a lot more Harry Potter going forward. Just
you got
because
that Quidditch
I think
game coming, right?
The Quidditch game I think is out, but like, you know what I mean? Like people don't. I mean, that's fine, but Hogwarts Legacy was more in line with what people want, which is like a game set in Hogwarts in that world,
right?
And this game kind of proved that, like, yeah, this still works. It'll still sell. All right. Moving through this list, Spider-Man 2 at number 4.
Top 5. Good for them.
Yeah, so Sony's kind of showing up here in the last few years, I think sales-wise.
This is coming out in January for PC, I think. I'm really excited for it. That is one that I'm still excited enough about that it's probably a day one purchase for me.
Yes, so Spider-Man 2, it's, again, not going to go into spoilers because I know Connor's going to play it.
Yeah.
But it's just Spider-Man, but bigger and better. You got Peter, you have Miles, you have the story for both. You've got the Venom story being told that was teased at the end of one. And yeah, I don't know, man. Just something about Spider-Man. Like, it's just so hard to dislike Spider-Man. It's the character himself so likable, and it's just so much fun to play. And and whenever I discussed Spider-Man 2 back in 2023, I mentioned the movement mechanics in this game being even better, and I stand by that, right? Like, I actually played Spider-Man 2 recently to test it out on the PS5 Pro, and the swinging through the city and, like, the gliding mechanics and all the new stuff they added, just flawless. Like, it's so much fun just being Spider-Man in this city. So,
I'm excited
fantastic
to play
game. All right, let's see. Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom at number 6, considering only physical games. So
yeah.
I imagine it'd be a few spots higher.
Yeah, I bought it digitally.
With digital. I bought it digitally as well. Yeah, like at this point, I'm not really buying anything physically.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
and I imagine
COVID
most
killed
people
it.
aren't.
And once my collection streak was broken, I went all digital, essentially.
Right. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, you infamously have some beef with this game, Connor, but Mike and I are of the opinion, I think, that this is an improvement from Breath of the Wild. And yeah, I mean, this, for a while there, was in contention for my favorite Zelda game. I think now that the dust has settled from, like, the excitement of launch, I think Wind Waker still takes that spot for me, but I think Tears of the Kingdom is probably a solid number 2. And I haven't even finished it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Diablo
4 at number 7.
This one wrecked your year.
Yeah, this one wrecked my time with Zelda.
Yeah.
Like it just took over. Like Blizzard just has that ability to create addictive gameplay. They just know how to do it. Yeah. So
it's weird though, because it is both addictive and entirely forgettable. I was playing it. I got busy for one day. I never went back.
Yeah, I think this game it still has
from my mind.
Like I think this game occupies a MapleStory like space in my mind, where if I go back and play it, I'll be like, oh, I'm actually addicted to this, and then like go crazy on it for like a week or two, and then just like put it back down. And I know they keep it interesting with the seasons, and the expansion just came out too, and that supposedly adds a lot, and it's apparently a very good expansion. It got like great reviews and stuff. So I think it is about time to check out Diablo 4 again, but there's just too many games out right now for me to
you still haven't
go back to an older game.
You still haven't even played Alan Wake.
No, yeah, that has to come first, but
yeah.
I did want to shout out Diablo 4. I know like it launched and it was like popular, and then like the popularity waned quite a bit with the updates that came out, but I think the more recent updates are making it popular again, so excited to check it out again one day. Star Wars Jedi Survivor at number 10, not surprising here, the sequel to Fallen Order, and these Star Wars games, I mean, whether they're single player, multiplayer, I mean, like these Star Wars games are always on this list, so Star Wars as an IP's just got that staying power. Starfield at number 12.
Unearned. This game, like,
not valid.
What's crazy about Starfield is if you'd asked anyone involved at Xbox or anything, they'd have told you this was going to be a top fiver, I bet. They really thought they were sitting on a gold mine with this, and this game just came out, and it sucks.
No, yeah, Xbox thought that this would be, like, their crowning jewel, like, their best achievement. And it wasn't that. It still sold millions of copies.
Yeah, I mean, it's still top 20, you know, at top 15.
Yeah, but like critically, it was not. Like, I'm sorry, but Bethesda still has to prove to me that they have the sauce for me to trust that Elder Scrolls 6 won't be mediocre.
Isn't Elder Scrolls 6 going to be their next game, probably?
Yeah, it's going to be their next game, but like, they haven't really done anything.
No, they're sauceless,
in my
dude.
opinion,
They're
since
cooked.
Skyrim. Like, obviously, like, people love Fallout 4 as well, but like, to me, they've been kind of middling for a while now, so I don't know.
They're cooked. That's my opinion.
Mario
my
Bros.
professional
Wonder
opinion. Great game.
At 13.
I
Again,
keep forgetting this game
only.
exists. Like, I loved this game, but I played through it in like a day, and I just keep forgetting it's even there.
I think it's a great game. I think I don't know. I put it down after a few sessions. I was like, okay, I'm good. You know, like I didn't feel compelled to finish it for whatever reason.
I said this when it came out, but when a Super Mario Bros. Game comes out, it has no reason not to be among the best 2D platformers ever made. And it's not. It's not in contention for that. It's not even the best Mario game, in my opinion. But it's fun. I'm more likely to go back to World or 3, personally.
Number 14, Resident Evil 4 Remake. This was my first exposure to Resident Evil 4, which is a historic game, and loved it. One of the best games I played that year. And 2023 was quite a year for video games.
Yeah, it was.
As we remember.
Have you tried it in VR?
I have not. I should.
Yeah. With a fresh change of clothes nearby.
Right, yeah. Final Fantasy 16, 19. No Baldur's Gate 3 on this list at all, which is just wild.
And it makes me really sad that Alan Wake 2 isn't on this list either.
Alan Wake 2, yeah.
I know it was more niche.
Alan Wake 2, it doesn't surprise me though. Like, I know critically it's incredible, but sales-wise, it didn't.
I know, but it deserves it. It's so good.
But I'm more surprised that Baldur's Gate is not in the top 20 best-selling games of 2023. Like, I really thought that Baldur's Gate, like, not only was it a critical darling, I thought it was a sales juggernaut as well, but
I know a lot of non-gamers that play it, and I think I had kind of conflated that with, like, normies playing it, but it wasn't.
I did too.
That. Yeah. It was people who were really into D&D and fantasy and stuff got onto Baldur's Gate, even if they're not that into video games, I think.
Yeah, so I Yeah, I still find that as a surprising absence from this list. I bet it's probably like number 21 or so. It can't be far off from the top 20
Yeah.
of the year. But okay, that finishes it, right?
In a
so
tight
those are
4 hours.
yeah, even going at turbo speed here, it took us over an hour to go through the part 3 here.
Yeah.
But yeah, best-selling games ranked 1 through 20 from years 2000 to 2023. So there you have it. So we probably won't do something similar to this until
maybe
2030. Maybe ever. All right. We are on a time crunch here today, so let's talk about what we're playing. I'll quickly go first.
Okay. I have 2.
So I am almost done with Metaphor.
Oh
I'm
my
not going to
God.
talk I'm not going to talk about Metaphor
Tell
like
me
in
hour
depth
count.
until like 75. I'm literally right up against I'm like preparing for the final battle right now. But I'm not going to talk about it with my full thoughts until after I finish it. So what I'm going to talk about today is kind of a quick review of the PS5 Pro. So
yeah.
in addition to playing Metaphor, which is mostly what I've been doing, by the way, I have just been jumping around in PS5 Pro games, like PS5 Pro supported games, to check out like the improvements. And I'm very impressed with this thing. I am, and obviously, like, is it an $700-800 console? Is it worth it? I don't know. To me, because like PlayStation is mostly where I play, yes, it's worth it. But to most people, I would argue probably not. But coming from a mostly PlayStation gamer, right, like all the first party games got exquisite support for this thing, right? Like, and PSSR really adds a lot of image clarity. It adds, in some games, it resolves better image quality than 4K native. And that's backed up by Digital Foundry doing their own testing too. But oftentimes it's rendering it at a base resolution of 1440 and scaling up to 4K through PSSR. And it looks clean, man. It's just the promise of having like fidelity mode games running in a performance mode is realized with this thing. Mark Cerny was not lying. It absolutely does that. The most impressive game I played was probably Horizon Forbidden West. Visually, that's probably the best looking video game I've seen in my life. And the only comparable one I can think of is Black Myth Wukong running fully maxed out on my PC. I have no idea how Guerrilla got this game to look as good as they did. It legitimately looks like a PlayStation 6 game or something to me. And notably, Horizon Forbidden West, Guerrilla is not using PSSR. They came up with another new temporal injection technique that they're using in place of PSSR that they use in Decima, and they're getting even better results than PSSR. So
that would mean it's not AI based.
It's not, which is crazy, right? Like Guerrilla, I think, are technical wizards. Like the Decima engine's always been very impressive because like even before PSSR, Horizon had really good image quality because they had like this really good temporal injection technique, but apparently they've come up with a new one that they're using now instead of PSSR.
That's shocking.
And it's quite a looker, let me tell you. And it's running at like 80-90 frames per second as well.
Wow.
Which is
wow.
just crazy.
At 4K. Wow.
Yeah, it feels like I'm playing like specifically Horizon. It feels like you're just playing it on a high-end PC.
Yeah.
Obviously, it varies on a per-game basis, right? Like, not every game's going to get the Horizon treatment.
Right.
But a couple other games that I want to shout out that just look fantastic. Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls looks unbelievable. And Demon's Souls is using PSSR. And, I mean, the image is pin sharp. You're getting 60-plus frames a second. And it's great. I mean, the VRR support is also adding so much here because like you can render these games in these high fidelity modes and you're still getting like 60 plus frames a second. In games like Spider-Man and Ratchet, you get 50 to 60 frames per second with like all the bells and whistles turned on. So right, like if you play Spider-Man 2 on your PS5 Pro in like the Fidelity Pro mode, you're still getting 50 plus frames a second at all times, which is crazy, right? Like, because what you're getting is like a 4K image. You're getting ray traced reflections, ray traced ambient inclusion, and it all looks really, really good. Like swinging through New York City, seeing all of the buildings reflect in the other buildings, it just looked crazy. And I was just like, wow, this is something that previously I could only see on my PC.
Right.
But I'm seeing this now on a console, which is really cool to see. And I think it points to a very positive picture for the next PlayStation, because this is just version 1 of PSSR, right? Like, we've seen DLSS go through its iterations and be like the force of nature it is now. So I imagine PSSR will only improve as it's worked on, and we'll probably get a more mature PSSR like 2.0 for the PlayStation 6, and I'm very excited to see what that looks like, because while not like DLSS 3.0 level, it runs circles around the current FSR. So it looks really, really nice. The games I tested that I want to shout out: Horizon Forbidden West, pure eye candy; Demon Souls, incredible looking; Spider-Man, it feels incredible playing that game, seeing how the city looks with ray trace reflections at a high frame rate. Same with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, right? Like that game, 4K, 50 to 60 frames per second, all the ray tracing bells and whistles turned on a console. So very, very cool. And even games that don't have a dedicated pro patch are boosted, right? So there's this game boost feature where if you have like an unlocked frame rate, it boosts it up, right? So like Metaphor on my PS5, and I don't know why, right? Like Metaphor is not a graphically intensive game at all, but it would run like sub 50 frames per second in certain areas. It's locked 60 frames per second on PS5 Pro, and there was no PS5 Pro patch. So there is that extra power in there that juices up your PlayStation 5 games that don't have a dedicated patch. And also there's a PS4 image quality enhancer as well that you can turn on, and Digital Foundry has done several comparison videos for that as well, and it improves the image quality of your PS4 games. And I haven't tested that out too much yet, but I think it's a really cool feature to like retroactively make your PS4 games look better. Like Digital Foundry did a comparison with Bloodborne specifically, and it just looked way sharper and resolved more detail on a PS5 Pro. So I think this thing honestly was a little undersold by Sony. Their presentation where they revealed it was not all that impressive, but like having this thing in your hands and actually playing these games, you can very clearly see a marked difference. And it is the closest thing to playing on a high-end PC without actually buying a high-end PC. So for that market, which I know is kind of a small market, but for that market, this is like definitely the right console for you. So yeah, wanted to shout out PS5 Pro there.
Yeah, it sounds compelling. I played Alan Wake 2 The Lake House, which I believe is the final DLC for Alan Wake 2, and they just got me again. This is as good as the base game, if not better. The writing is amazing. It takes place in the lake house. You are unpuzzling. There seems to be another person that has similar powers to Alan Wake, which it's unclear if Alan Wake actually has any powers or if his powers come from Cauldron Lake. You'd have to play the game to catch up on all that. But another person whose art manifests in reality that the Federal Bureau of Control from the game Control has been studying, and you play as Agent Estevez, the Federal Bureau of Control agent who was sent to investigate this situation. And you go in, and if you can believe it, it's a whole ding-dang mess. The FBC was doing all kinds of unethical, horrible things in the lake house. And yeah, it's a tight, I think it took me four hours to beat. It was a one-sitting situation. Finally with this one, and it, unlike a base game Alan Wake 2, the only outdoor environments are like the first 5 minutes, so you can crank the settings and get stable frame rates in this. So that was really nice. I had ray tracing on. I was, over 100 FPS the whole time. I was loving it. I also did say Neighbors Be Damned on this one and played it without headphones. You gotta watch. Alan Wake 2 loves the bass, and I have a subwoofer, so I was pretty hesitant to do that with the base game, but I knew this was only going to be a one night, couple hour thing, so I decided to go for it anyway. It wasn't super late at night. I was done by 10. I'm not a monster, and it was like on a Saturday, but I just loved this. It was just, they're just some of the best horror writers in the biz. I love this world. I just want more so badly. I can't wait for the next Control. I can't wait for that that multiplayer FBC game coming out, FBC Firebreak, I think it's called. I want Alan Wake 3, even though I don't think that's even on the radar right now. There's just so many things I want to know, so many mysteries, so much. I just love. I don't know. I am completely absorbed by this world every chance and I'd love for them to continue this release pattern of like a 4 to 6 hour game every 6 months or whatever. I would love for that to just continue.
Yeah, I think the day of me finally playing Alan Wake 2 is very close. So
I hear it had performance issues on base PS5 too, so you'll be getting a better experience on the.
So right now, I think the pro patch for Alan Wake is actually broken. So hopefully they patch that soon.
Yeah, it only has FSR2 as well, which like if you're playing it at 4K balanced or quality or whatever, I didn't notice the upscaling at all, but I don't know how that would work. Playing it on a 1440p monitor or anything. It's messy.
Well, either way, like at this point, right? If when I sit down to play it, it's not patched on PS5 Pro. I'm just gonna buy it on PC because I haven't bought the game yet.
Okay.
So, but
it is.
I mean,
you live in an apartment
approaching.
building, right?
Yeah.
If you
But
have a sound
I
system,
also like I'm just gonna say like they can deal with it for a while. So
yeah. I don't know if my neighbors can hear it. I haven't talked to them downstairs yet. I know my next door neighbor can't. I've talked to him. I'm conscious of that a lot. I already owned the subwoofer before I moved here. But yeah,
Same.
Alan Wake, The Lake House. Again, maybe my game of the year 2023. It's that or Baldur's Gate. I love Alan Wake 2. I might do a replay of the base game now because I just have it on the mind again.
All right, Mike, what have you been playing?
I guess I could finally talk about playing Age of Wonders 4.
What's that?
It's a Civ like. It has some different mechanics to it, like it's strongly based along gaining certain resources. So right now I've been playing through as a race of Materium based bird wizards. So every turn I can summon like iron golems to help me with my military, and all the combat is turn-based. So when you move a unit onto another unit, it goes into a turn-based combat.
My God, dude, you're saying like all the right things.
All the right things.
This is a fantasy Civ game with turn-based combat.
Yes.
Holy.
It has all the trappings of like, found your cities, build your cities. I only have 2 cities. Most of my AI compatriots only have like 2 or 3 as well. Cities are hard to come by. There's a lot of neutral camps, and the victory conditions are a little varied. It's hard to explain because I haven't finished my first game yet, but I've been having fun. There's different ways you can develop your civilization as well. I think there's 6 paths, 7, 8 paths you can go down. They give certain bonuses depending on what you're focusing on in your spell tomes. And there's an alignment system. So you can either be good, evil, or neutral, depending on what you do. So say if you go around declaring wars without any justification, right, you'll become evil.
That does sound evil, yeah.
Yeah. Or if you say attack innocents or do any evil action will make you evil, and evil civilizations will like you more if you're evil, but good civilizations will hate you. I'm playing as very good, so I have anybody that has neutral or better alignment, I get 200 additional relation points. So nice. I basically am friends with everybody right now.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
Like that's my favorite way of like playing a Civ game is like no war, but also just trying to like screw everyone over in different ways, like economically or whatever.
There's
Yeah.
also like outpost systems and claims, and if you violate claims, people will be able to declare war on you.
So I'm
There's-
curious. So how do you win, right? Because like in Civ, you can have like a domination victory, a science victory, culture victory. Is there something similar in this
There
game? Where
there's domination or there's military victory, which is kill all rulers. There should be no rulers left. Expansion is just occupy enough provinces to win the game. There's the magic victory, which means you must have a tier 3 tome, find three gold tier ancient wonders that are lying around the map, grab them, bind them, get a tier 5 tome, launch a spell, and then defend the ancient wonders that you bound for 15 turns. And that's how you get a magic victory. Or there's just the time victory where you just have the highest score after 150 turns.
Okay, yeah, that, I mean, obviously that one sounds like the most interesting one. Like, I feel like that may be the equivalent of like a science victory. Because like,
expansion
150 turns sounds
victory
like a long
also
time.
requires you to build like 3 beacons and then light them and then defend them.
okay.
So the two
Yeah, so-
victories that aren't military or score require you to do steps that will inevitably result in people wanting to kill you.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting though, because that directly forces conflict at the end of the game, where that doesn't always happen in Civilization.
There's also layers to the map. So my map currently has an underground.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a whole area that I can explore myself that's underground. You can find cities under there. You can find everything under there. There's also, I think, an Eldritch dimension added in a DLC. There's a lot. This game has a lot going for it.
Wow, only $30 too.
Yeah, only $30 right now, and all the DLC. But the DLC runs you up more.
I like the look
I think
of this.
I'm generally gonna get this game. This
Oh, you get all the
this
DLC
is
for 67. Huh, that ain't bad.
This is an amazing shout out, and this definitely fits all of the things I enjoy.
Yeah,
So
it has that 4X of expand, exploit, explore, and exterminate. But it also requires you to fight in turn-based combat. Instead of like Total War and it's real time, it's turn-based. You're basically playing a mini XCOM every time you roll into combat with your units.
Oh my god.
So, and all of them have abilities. There's magic you can cast. If fantasy's not your flair, there's also Age of Wonders Planetfall,
Oh wow.
which is more
wow.
sci-fi focused. I don't
Even
know if
better.
that one's still getting updates, but it's still a very playable game. It came out in 2019. 4 came out last year. But Planetfall is more focused on sci-fi-esque
Yeah, this
gameplay
looks
instead
really good.
of the fantasy of Age of Wonders 4.
Is this multiplayer?
It is.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can play with other people.
Playable on Steam Deck too.
Yeah. And you don't have to pick a pre-made civilization. I created my group of bird people from scratch. Everything about them was customized. From like their specific bonuses to their hero, who's your faction leader. And there's like an iterative mechanic where as you complete games, you level up and you can add more customizations to your characters. Yeah, you can ascend your rulers, and once you have ascended rulers, you get customization bonuses for your rulers. So there's a progression system on top of that.
Yeah.
There's so much.
I'm into it. Yeah, I'm gonna check this game out. Another one on the list, a very long list.
Tons of races and rulers that you can go for. Yeah, especially if you buy like the DLCs. A lot of traits that each race gets. You can be mole people.
Seems awesome. But
it was very fun.
In the interest of time, Connor, do you want to dive into your last game?
I'll close this out with some Factorio Space Age. Factorio is back, reminding us why it is far and away the best factory building game on the market. Oh my god, this DLC is good. I have fully, not saying fully conquered is an exaggeration, but I have science set up on the first other planet that I visited. I still need to set up a freighter ship that's flying between, which is like crazy. That an insane logistical challenge. My first ship that I flew just immediately was destroyed by an asteroid that I did not know was going to be an issue. It does not warn you. And this is just such a brilliant way to introduce new factory puzzles. So the spaceships that you build, they don't land on planets. They exist only in orbit. You build them in orbit, and they fly between planets and then have drop pods and rockets to move stuff between the planet and the space station. But to go in between planets, they have to have some sort of defense. They have to make their own fuel out of things you mine from asteroids. And there's only one storage on the entire space station. So everything has to happen without storage, without bots flying around or anything. So my space station alone has to create oxidizer, it has to create fuel, and it has to create ammo for its guns, which I use to destroy the asteroids. And it has to be totally self-sufficiently doing that as it flies through space. And that alone was a really fascinating challenge. And then I get to Vulcanus, and I kind of made a mistake. I didn't bring... You can't bring anything in your inventory into space. And so I made the mistake of kind of doing this trip without a colony kit. I've built a colony kit since then, which I'm just keeping on my spaceship to shoot down to myself so that I can kind of jumpstart a colony. But I had to essentially start from zero on this planet Vulcanus. And Vulcanus is interesting because there's no copper ore or iron ore here. You just have lava, and you refine lava into molten iron or molten copper, and then you can cast things that you need out of that. And so everything that normally you're using conveyor belts for, it's all pipe challenges now. It's all liquids. And there's no water here. So to generate power, you have to figure out how to get water so that you can get steam to generate power. You have to figure out how to get rocket fuel because you have to build... You were stranded on this planet completely until you can build a new rocket to get off, unless you want to ship rocket parts to yourself, which is an option, I guess, but definitely an annoying option. It is much more affordable to affordable is not the word. At least on Vulcanus, it made a lot more sense to build the rocket on site to get off. So I was just kind of trapped on this planet away from my factory that was still running this entire time. I had to keep the factory on Navis running remotely while I spent probably 10 hours, something like that, on Vulcanus, building up an entire new factory, hopping on a rocket, fly back to Navis, make sure everything is still going well there. And now I'm going to a planet called Gleba, and Gleba is interesting because the iron and copper come from plants here that you have to grow with agriculture, and everything spoils if you don't use it soon enough. And I don't know what that means I'm not far enough in to know what that means for my copper and my iron yet, but I know that the final product you're typically making is called a science pack. And my original plan is to ship all my science packs back to Navis, the original planet. But now that I know that Gleba science packs spoil over time, it may be a bad idea to do that. I may want to ship all of my other science to Gleba so that I don't have that extra step. I don't know yet. And that would totally change the way I've been thinking about everything, because right now all of my other science is being made on Navis, and it would be very expensive to shoot that all up with rockets into orbit. The actual ship flying between planets is pretty cheap, but it's a lot of resources to build a rocket, actually escaping the gravity well and everything. And I'm just really in love with this. I don't know what I expect exactly. There was a DLC that this was based on called Space Exploration, but Space Exploration didn't introduce a lot of new challenges, in my opinion. It was just really, really hard Factorio. Whereas this is like not meaningfully more difficult than original Factorio. It's just a new challenge that is a new way of thinking of everything. And I am in love with it so far.
I'm curious, does this have an end state?
Yes.
Because you mentioned, I think Factorio Original had an end state as well.
The end goal of original Factorio is to launch a rocket. I believe the end goal I'm not there yet, or even close, but I believe the end goal of Space Age is to make a rocket that make a spaceship that is self-sufficient enough to escape the solar system. And then there's also something called the Shattered Planet, which is the planets I've gone to are like 15,000 kilometers away. The Shattered Planet is, I believe, 4 million kilometers away. And so I don't even know. I don't know what it would take
That's
to reach
crazy.
that. Yeah, I have no idea.
That's insane.
Yeah, I have to scale up so much. It used to be an original base game Factorio. A mega base started at 1,000 science per minute. Now the developers, Coverex, one of the main devs, has said 1,000,000 science per minute is possible now, which you couldn't have done. Like, computers weren't strong enough to do 1,000,000 science per minute in old Factorio, but now with optimization and better recipes and stuff, 1,000,000 is possible. I don't think I'm going to do 1,000,000, but I find it likely I'm going to do 1,000 now.
I'm just kind of in awe of like the scale of it, right? Because like already Factorio seemed like a very complicated factory building game,
Yeah.
but all that's on one planet, and now you're expanding the scale to multiple planets,
Yep.
some of which are just an unfathomable distance away.
Yeah.
And presumably when you reach that planet, it'll offer some kind of new
I don't know.
mechanics, new puzzles or
It
something.
might just be a win, Shattered Planet, where it's so much farther away than either of the others. Because surely you're not doing logistics over 4 million kilometers. That'd be crazy. But maybe. I don't know. I'm not there yet.
But yeah, what an idea to expand the scope of your game is to literally just, okay, you were on one planet, now you're on multiple, and figure out all the logistics that go with that.
It's also fascinating. I haven't done this yet because I have 3 planets available to me right now: Fulgora, Gleba, and Vulcanus, plus Navis, the original planet. And I want to visit all 3 of them first, but at a glance, there are items that are much easier to craft on Vulcanus, things that are really iron or really copper intensive. There's an item called a low density structure that is practically free to make on Vulcanus because the lava is infinite. And the ore patches, unlike Satisfactory, the ore patches are finite in Factorio. They will eventually dry up and you have to get a new one. The lava will never dry up. You have infinite ore there. So things that use a lot of those resources, suddenly it makes a lot more sense to make on Vulcanus. And I'm wondering if that's going to also be the case for Gleba and Fulgora, that there are going to be that there are going to be reasons to specialize your production on each planet to reduce the load on Navis, your original factory. And I'm excited to find out. I'm really excited. This is also my first time, embarrassingly. There are things called productivity, speed, and efficiency modules that change how your machines run, and also beacons that take those modules to affect multiple machines at once. I'd never used those before, which I'm a little embarrassed to say, and they're really, really powerful. I didn't know this, but I was able to, my yellow science production was originally like nearly 100 assemblers or something, I think. It was huge, and I brought it down to like under 20 by using these modules and beacons. And it just makes the whole thing far more palatable. But also, because it uses so many fewer machines now, it's easier to scale up and build even bigger. And that's not new in the DLC. That's just something I've never done before, because Factorio is as complicated as you want it to be, I guess. You can do things fairly simply, or you can scale it up and dream big.
So how much more time do you estimate, like, until you like accomplish the final sort of goal here?
I think I'm 50 or 60 hours into my save, and I do not think I am halfway through. I think I'm around halfway through it, probably.
Wow, okay. And this is coming from someone who had lots of experience, too.
I had 200 hours in this game, yeah.
So, like, you were able to kind of easily go through the first bit, right?
I didn't, though. I didn't zoom through it. I took my time. This whole playthrough, I've been taking my time. Because I've said it a few times, but Factorio can feel very similar to work, especially if you are an engineer in real life, like me and Amador. It can feel very similar to work. So I've been taking it very slow, making sure my defenses are such that I don't really need to worry about biters, and just kind of just doing it very slowly. It's just not been enjoyable to speed through it in my mind. Like I always say, you can get robots really fast, and I just didn't do that. I definitely smelled the roses along the way.
Yeah, I'm curious when I play this game to compare it to Satisfactory, because Satisfactory has those kind of exploration elements too. That,
yeah, Factorio
like,
does not have that.
When you're kind of bored of working, quote unquote, you can just go do that, and it's equally as rewarding, and it might even give you something that'll improve your productivity.
Right.
So that kind of feedback loop I really enjoyed at Satisfactory. But Factorio is kind of a more hardcore factory builder, it seems. So
Factorio is pretty much all building all the time. There are brief breaks you might take to like secure you'll have to fight off the biters to get a new ore patch or something. So you'll take a break and do combat for a while. But Factorio also has the nice thing where you can design something one time and you can paste it everywhere with blueprints once you have robots unlocked. So like, I have a tileable green belt production. I will never have to build anything to build, or not green belt, green circuits and red circuits as well. I will never have to build an assembly line for those again. I can just find a spot, paste it down, feed it the resources it needs, and I'm done. I never have to worry about it again. And I think that is a huge advantage that Factorio has over Satisfactory, which is that in Satisfactory, they have blueprints, but they're kind of terrible. And you pretty much have to build everything by hand always. So, but Factorio is also not a game that encourages you to sit back and watch the factory run the way that Satisfactory does, because the biters.
It's so satisfying to do that in Satisfactory.
I mean, you do have
Just
there
like
are times to do it, yeah. But Factorio is not as pretty as Satisfactory is, and the biters are always moving against you. There's no enemy moving against you in Satisfactory, but you theoretically could. You couldn't like soft lock yourself, I don't think, but the biters evolve over time. They evolve faster if you build your factory faster, but they do just evolve over time. And if you are not building, they will get stronger than you can handle eventually.
And then you just lose, or?
Now, I could see you getting caught in a death loop. They can destroy your factory. They will come and destroy your buildings, which isn't that annoying once you have robots unlocked. But, I have a perimeter wall with laser turrets all around my factory so that I don't have to worry about the biters too much. The lasers pretty much kill all of them before they even get to the wall. If I didn't have that, if I had let them get this strong before that point, then they could get into my factory and they could destroy everything, and I would essentially be it would be over. I would not be able to, or at least it would be so frustrating I would be unwilling to come back from that. But that's an unlikely scenario. You're probably not going to let that happen to you.
All right, well, I assume you're going to keep playing and have more to tell us next week.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have conquered Gleba by next week, and maybe Fulgora as well.
Gleba.
It's
a fun word.
It's apparently the worst planet.
All right, so I think that'll do it for us this week. I tried to rush us, but this ended up being the longest of the 3 episodes somehow, so there you go.
A lot of good games.
Thank you all for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Please like, rate, and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or any other podcast services you use, and click the link in the description to join our Discord and talk to us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.